In case you can't read the title, this is the second part of a trilogy of videos on the Final Fantasy VII House story. If you haven't seen part 1, honey, you're gonna be right out lost. Last we left off, Zack left his other victims' testimonials on his website, demonsushi.com. It gained a bit of traction in niche parts of the internet, but that was the end of it. Jen, Renee, and the merry band of Final Fantasy VII Soulbonders were never heard from again. That was, until the Sarah saga. Enter Housemate Horror, a live journal page where users can share stories of bad roommates they've had. The thread mostly died off around 2013, but in 2008 it was poppin'. One particularly popular post from the summer of that year began with,
I used to live in an awesome situation in SoCal, until the housemate from hell moved in. Fortunately, she has left, but the bitterness remains on my tongue. It is a saga that can only be told in pieces. Please, bear with me. In the cut, you will find part 1 of the saga involving the girl who believes she was a video game character.
The story was about the aforementioned Sarah, who, it turns out, is actually Catherine from the Final Fantasy VII house. Having this context explains so much. The tale was told by a fellow named Pete over the course of several posts in an admittedly scattered format. I'll try to make it as comprehensive as possible like in the previous part. Pete refers to Catherine as Sarah, and as I said before, she goes by a million names. So I'm just gonna still call her Catherine to avoid confusion. Pete describes the nice house he lives in with all of his friends. It's insanely nice, especially for the rent, which was only an insane $500 a month. This is because it's owned by a guy named Matt, who only rents the house out because he wants friends to hang out with. The only stipulation being how particular he is about who lives there. The requirements Matt has are that you need to be 25 years or older, you have to have no pets or children, and you have reliable income. Pretty sweet deal if I say so myself. All is peachy keen in the professional party house until one of the 6 roommates moved out to get married. This meant a replacement housemate was needed. I guess not needed, but you know, like wanted. After over 500 inquiries, the group narrowed down their potential new roommates to 3. The one they all voted to allow move in with them was, of course, Catherine. Pete notes that everything seemed fine about her. She was 27, had a job as a computer programmer, had a boyfriend in another part of the state, and overall she seemed like a perfect match for all these requirements. Except it became evident very quickly how much of a liar Catherine tended to be. Apparently she had changed her name once, which again explains her so many aliases, as well as pretending to take a few days off work to unpack, only to say that she got fired from her first day back. As it turns out, she never worked as a computer programmer to begin with. At one point she saw meat in the fridge and got furious. Not only is she a vegetarian, which is fine and dandy, but she got upset and moped because not everyone else in the house ate the same way. Matt, being the coolest dude in the world, emptied out his personal mini fridge he kept for wine, and gave it to Catherine as a gift so she can keep her own food in it. She scoffed at the idea of ever storing food in such a fridge, but took it anyway. Catherine mentions flying out to see her boyfriend. This strikes Pete as odd considering she's unemployed, yet buys a plane ticket herself.
She left, and we decided that when she returned, we would give her a welcome meal. We made a whole bunch of food, lots of it vegetarian. When she showed up, she just shook her head at the fact that we had also made meat. Matt assured her the meat and veggies had been cooked separately. She said, "It doesn't matter, you're prolonging your existence on this earth at the expense of another." The others and I were quite horrified at her rudeness, but we kept it ourselves.
For nearly a full month, Catherine was still jobless and spent her time doing basically nothing but playing Suikoden for PS1. For those unaware, Suikoden is a JRPG much like Final Fantasy VII, and Catherine claims to be bonded to it. Something else, her name at the time was Odessa. She had changed her name to be that of the character from the game, but I'll still call her Catherine to avoid confusion. After further poking and prodding from the roommates, it is revealed that Catherine believes herself soul bonded to Odessa, just like she previously was with Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. A week passes and she goes off to fly to visit a friend in the UK. After being dropped off in the airport, the house receives a phone call from her crying, saying that she was denied entry into the UK because she wouldn't let TSA look through her laptop, and they thought that was suspicious. Another odd point is that she claims that her meds were taken from her, and she appears to be insecure about needing psych meds. Pete felt bad for her lack of job and lack of a resume, so he offered her a job at the store he managed as a part-time cashier. She refuses on the grounds of being overqualified. So the person she tried visiting in the UK comes over himself. His name is Sesserai, another character from Suikoden. Pete can't pronounce this, so he comically calls him something. Sesserai even royally introduces himself as the Right Bishop Sesserai. Now, Sesserai is a trans man, but the writer Pete doesn't respect that because there's no such thing as a perfect person in these stories. But anyway, if I accidentally call him a her, that's why. Okay, so basically the fat and skinny of what's going on here is that Catherine gained a following online for starting what is, again, definitely a cult of people that believe that they are soul bonded to characters from Suikoden. And her followers donate money as offerings, and this is how she stays unemployed. Sasarai is a follower. To celebrate Matt's birthday, the whole house started a nice little cookout for him. Because Sasarai and Catherine were vegetarian, they were offered veggie burgers. This resulted in them making picket signs and literally protesting the cookout, which is hilarious to imagine. One of the housemates says, "Grow the fuck up, get new meds for your insanity, and leave us in peace." This resulted in her crying, basically stating that she hates that people assume her mental state because she doesn't conform. Sasarai comes to her defense, showing that no matter how the numbers stack up against you, an echo chamber is a powerful thing. He calls the housemates horrible people, claims Catherine has PTSD from being bullied in school, and even threatens to sue them for having such a hostile environment. The story thus far was released on the Housemate Horror Board as Part 1, and then afterwards the other housemates were made aware of it. Some of the following stories come from their perspective. Pete then makes things so much easier on me than Zach did in the first part by clarifying who everyone is. Thanks, Pete.
And to simplify things, here are the players in this crazy game. The housemates. Pete, that's me. I'm a retail manager. Matt, the landlord. He works as a high school guidance counselor. Carrie, mechanical engineer, and only female until Sarah came along. Zach, computer engineer, works for a major software design company. Very quiet. Dan, professional pet sitter. He's never home because he's so busy. Tim, attorney. He speaks his mind all the time. The insane people. Sarah, a girl who believes she's a male video game character and the rest of the world are ignorant fools. Unemployed. Something, a girl from the UK who believes she is a man and also a video game character. Sarah's friend she met online. Boyfriend. Sarah's boyfriend who lives in another part of the state. So where did we leave off? Oh yes, the barbecue.
After the cookout, Catherine locked herself in a room for 2 days, sending Sasarai to get food for her. Eventually, Sasarai came out of the room to deliver a letter from Catherine proposing a meeting that night. The house agreed. The two made a huge entrance with Catherine wrapped up in a blanket, while Sasarai prefaced that everything discussed was not to leave the room, and everyone should have an open mind. Matt made no promises. Catherine makes the bold claim that she has too much intellect to be understood. Spoken like a true Rick and Morty fan. In this meeting, we learn quite a bit about Catherine. She believes her parents were horrible to her, and wouldn't understand her. I won't speak on this, as it's easy to take her shittiness and assume she's lying, but speaking as someone who is often disbelieved about parental fuckery, I see no reason to assume that she's lying. Who knows, maybe child abuse is the reason she's crazy. She was bullied in middle school, and this allegedly caused her PTSD. As Pete so eloquently puts it, we all got bullied in middle school, get over it. She feels the only people who get her are other video game soul bonders. She also claims to have started this movement, which I suppose could be true if she knew Jen, remember her, as a child. Man, the people who don't grow out of that crazy shit are the real ones you gotta look out for. I mean, still gravitating to things and thoughts you had as a child? That's nutso. Matt asks her if she ever thought of therapy, and she says she lacks insurance. Tim's ears perked up at that. Didn't your job give insurance? As it turns out, she lied. She never had a job and never even lived in the state, which was California, by the way. She was originally from the East Coast, which of course houses Pennsylvania, where State College is located. State College is the town where the first part takes place, so this all lines up. To get past the house's application process for roommates, she actually had a friend pretend to be her boss over the phone, and her driver's license even uses another person's address from California. This is an insane amount of lengths to go through just to live in one house, and that strikes me as very fucking odd to say the least. She was kicked out. More specifically, forced to leave at the end of the month, as she already paid that month's rent. Initially, Sasarai was meant to stay a week, but after Catherine's meltdown without consulting the housemates, he changed his plane ticket to a later date, which Pete notes is insanely expensive for someone who doesn't appear to work. Sasarai basically tells Matt that he's staying to support Catherine, and they come to an agreement that he can stay for 10 days. But after that, the police will get involved, and Matt wishes to speak with her. When they met, Matt basically confronted her with all of his grievances. He felt that she took advantage of him, and offered to give free meetings from a psychiatrist friend because Matt is too damn cool of a dude for his own good. Around this time, Sakurai was bitching because he had the right to be with Catherine because she showed him the path or whatever weird shit. After meeting with the psychiatrist friend, Catherine was on some new medication and all was fine. She mellowed out a ton, smiled, and came out of her room, even started getting on Sakurai's case. All was good in the hood. Then, she even started a resume and filled out job applications. One evening, Pete bluntly asked Catherine how she makes her money.
She said, plain as can be, I have people offer me donations on my blog so I can spread the news of my religion. Her religion being that she is actually a male video game character from a game that came out in the 90s. What? So there are some morons out there who are giving money to Sarah so she can pretend to be a video game character and teach others how to do the same? Something said, we give her things because she has helped us find our true selves. So you don't work either? Tim asked. I could tell he was ready to explode. No, I get government benefits in the UK. Why? Because I don't like to work. Okay, no one likes to work. If given the option, I bet just about everyone in the world would say, I'd rather be doing X, but I need money so I do Y. But asking people to donate to you so you can travel around and sit on your ass? That's just wrong. Even worse, there are people out there who do it. Sarah's boyfriend is apparently the worst enabler in this group. According to something, he bought her a car that she sold, plane tickets, and sends her money on a regular basis. And I thought some of the people I met at furry cons were stupid.
Finally, as if hell itself was freezing over and the clouds parted to reveal endless sunshine, Sakurai went home. Celebration ensues. The next day, Catherine gets an interview for a tech job, which she eventually gets. She's looked at other places this day because she's still been kicked out, and next month has approached. And her new meds make her more tolerable. Everything's coming up Milhouse here in the Final Suikoden house. There was a week period between her getting a job and actually starting it. When Pete takes her for a drug test, she asks if he can take her to the airport the next day because her boyfriend sent her money for the plane ticket so she can go visit him that weekend. Yeah, right before she starts a new job, she's already outie. Catherine then pretends to not have gas money, when it's been established that she gets money off donations online. She shrugged. It was worth a try. She smirked. The flight home gets delayed 4 hours, and she doesn't end up back until 2 a.m. and has no ride. So, just to annoy everyone further, she calls them begging for a ride she wasn't ever gonna get. Catherine then returns home after getting a cab at 4 a.m. and wakes everyone up by screaming this angry rant about how no one's sensitive to her needs. This leads Matt bluntly asking her if she's taking her meds, and she replies that no, she is not, because her fucking boyfriend told her that they're bad for her. Anyway, this screaming that she does leads to her breaking shit and dragging shit out of cabinets, and overall making a huge scene, probably due to withdrawal of her meds mixed with her overall batshittery. When Pete came out to see what the fuck was going on, she sat in the family room surrounded in broken shit, playing Suikoden. Anyway, once the dust settles, Catherine calls off her first day of work, and Matt gives her the ultimatum. See her damn shrink, or he's calling the cops. She apologized and offered to pay for all the damage. Soon after, Catherine's boyfriend came to visit the house for the weekend. He is, of course, another soulbonder who believes he is a dragon. This is more akin to what the internet calls otherkin, which are basically people who believe themselves reincarnations of animals. And some fucking Looney Tunes out there think that this can apply to fictional animals like dragons. Other than that, he seemed a little more well-adjusted than Catherine. It's a wonder how they got together, in all honesty. The only thing is that according to Catherine, he's allergic to just about anything. So she asked not to vacuum because of the dust, and to lock up the dogs because of the fur. Also, boyfriend referred to Catherine by her Suikoden name, Odessa. Overall, the housemates were just being pretty sarcastic in tone towards boyfriend because of the past not-so-great experiences with Catherine's guests. When this is pointed out as the reason for their rudeness, he freaks out, calling them racist? On the topic of Catherine's meds, her boyfriend says that she doesn't need them, and psych meds are just a way of drug companies to make more money. Also, they somehow stunted her creativity? I don't know about that one. The next day, after boyfriend left, Tim asks Catherine when she's leaving, and she bluntly replies, I'm not. Remember, the deal is that she's out on the 1st, and that is fastly approaching. Matt was like, motherfucker, we had a deal, and she didn't budge. The next few days were spent scrambling to find out what they can do legally to get her ass out of there. One night, Catherine confronts everyone, and the entire house basically says their piece as to why they don't like her. And she's given a written eviction notice from Matt. 1 week later, Matt gets a peculiar little phone call from the Department of Fair Employment and Housing, telling them that they received a complaint that Catherine was wrongly evicted due to religious beliefs. Ruh-roh. A representative came over a few days later and discussed the Catherine case with Pete, Tim, and Matt. When they explained the whole thing, the guy was just laughing his ass off. The rep ended up on their side, But since Matt doesn't have a certificate of occupancy, if Catherine files a complaint again, that can mean big doo-doo. When Matt takes the TV out of the family room, Catherine's beloved portal to Suikoden, she throws a little shit fit. She was the only one in the house without her own TV, so she started begging her followers for money and selling fanfiction. This is for a TV, dude. Like, never did this with rent, but a fucking TV, yeah. When she finally gets the TV, she starts complaining that there's no cable in her room. After Catherine refused to leave at the end of the month, Matt filed for an unlawful detainer. She of course protested this, so the case was actually taken to court, but not for 2 months because they were backed up. So 2 months with her, wahooey! The 4th of July rolls around, and the house has a party, which they do every year. Catherine spends the whole party sulking in a room to protest the meat eating, since they were having a barbecue. 2 days later, Sasarai appears completely unannounced.
Matt said, "Shit, no, that piece of trash isn't staying here." Sarah said, "Well, if you have a party, I can have a party, and I'm having a party this weekend, and something is here to help me prepare." "No parties without my approval," Matt said. "Tell that to the judge. I'm feeling discriminated against." Did I mention what a fucking bitch she was? Yeah, I thought so.
Yes, Catherine and Sasarai had a party in the house involving 12 additional soul bonders from the internet, who all intended to sleep over. Matt drags Sasarai and Catherine out of the house, and all the housemates confront them. Basically, they were stomping on their religious freedom and discriminating against them. And upon trying to go into the house to kick everyone out, Sasarai grabbed him by the shirt, yelling at him that he can't go in because he's going to disturb the ritual or some shit. Let me visualize this shit for you. There's blankets covering all the windows so the sun doesn't get in, candles everywhere, the coffee table is in the center of the living room and has a white blanket over it with books, and over 100-year-old expensive candlesticks on it, which are a family heirloom of Matt's, by the way. The TV has Suikoden playing on it with its music playing loudly, and surrounding the coffee table is 12 weird internet cultists, including Boyfriend and a few of them in cosplay outfits.
Mac wants the flamethrower. Mac wants the what? That's what he said. Now move.
Then we sat down in the family room that they'd commandeered, and Tim turned off that retarded game and put on a movie. One of the people said, "I thought we were going to play the game." "You're not. You guys are out of here by 10 p.m. or we're calling the cops." "Could we have this room until then?" another one asked. "Nope. We pay rent so we can use our house." "I was told I could sleep here," some girl said. "Well, you can't." She seemed genuinely scared. "Good. Where can I go?" "A hotel would be a good idea," I said. "I don't have the money for a hotel." "You guys send Sarah money, right? I'm sure she has enough." The group of them just sort of cowered until something returned. "We are being persecuted for our beliefs by these people." "You have the room until 10 p.m., Matt said. "We'll be in the kitchen." We all followed Matt out. Tim said we shouldn't give in. Matt said, "I want to see this ritual."
The housemates sat in the living room and ate pizza, watching the show. Catherine comes out in a white dress and begins discussing how this is Betty's awakening, and that Betty's finally gonna reach her full potential by harnessing the soul of a Suikoden character. Every housemate immediately starts laughing their asses off. Catherine screams at everyone, calling them racists and Nazis. After some discourse caused by Matt telling the cultists that they had 5 minutes left, one of them threw a punch at Tim. Then, Matt calls the cops. Tim pressed charges, the cops threw everyone out, and fits were had by all, except for the sane ones. If you're worried about the people who had no place to go, Boyfriend got one, count 'em one, hotel room for everyone. Everyone except for the punchy fella, who got arrested. I guess he got his own room in a way. Catherine actually filed a lawsuit because she claims the housemates stole her candles, which again, were Matt's, and her time. Yeah, they stole her time. 2 months pass, and it seems like the court case probably got thrown out, because it has no further mention later in any of these blog posts. Anyway, Sasarai shows up once again unannounced. The next Saturday, all the housemates went to the park. Upon coming back, Boyfriend was at the house screaming at Sasarai and Catherine. As it turns out, he caught them having sex. Catherine blames it on her soul bond. Catherine and Sasarai discuss killing her soul bond because they're a rapist. And then later, Sasarai flies home. Upon arrival, he gets arrested for scam charges. After those excerpts, Carrie, one of the housemates, relays stories told from Becky, another housemate, about what Catherine is like at work. They worked in a cubicle environment, and Catherine didn't like having her back to the entrance, so she moved her computer, much to the dismay of her boss. She also hung up scarves over her lights, and was told she couldn't do that because that was a fire hazard. She refused on grounds that they were religious symbols. They made her take them down, obviously. She then brought it up with HR, and that resulted in all decorations being banned for everyone. Other Catherineisms include throwing fits about others eating meat at lunch, falling asleep at work, and overall being a pain to be around. What else is new? Oh, and she claimed having disabilities, so she could be accommodated. Basically, she could do whatever she wanted with her cubicle, come in whenever she wanted, was allowed to use her iPod at work, even nap at work. The next story comes from Tim. He's drunk. The boyfriend is over, and playing Suikoden, and Tim bluntly asks, "Do you suck, dick?" Boyfriend just asks, "Why?" And Tim starts telling him off, and then Catherine comes in telling him to stop harassing boyfriend. Then he asks her, "Do you suck dick?"
She also asked, "Why?" So I gave them both this answer. Well, if you're a guy and you So I gave them both this answer. Well, if you're a guy and you suck dick, you're gay. If you're a guy and you don't suck dick, you're not gay. If you're a girl and you suck dick, you're straight. And if you're a girl and you don't suck dick, you're a bad date. I let that sink in and then said, "So Sarah, if you were really a man, do you suck dick? Does that make your boyfriend, dragon, whatever he is, gay?"
That wasn't really relevant to include, but it made me laugh really hard. Anyway, Tim tells the story of Sasarai once again coming completely unannounced. The house got into an argument with Catherine because everyone agreed Sasarai could just get a cab instead of someone always going to pick him up. When he arrives, he immediately berates Zach and Tim.
I said, "The bitch has been asked to leave. She's making us evict her. She could just fucking leave and she'd be happy, and I'd be so happy I'd run around the block naked." "She can't leave! Don't you see how fragile and emotional and whatever?" Something went on forever talking, and I wasn't listening, about how we damaged Sarah and her safe places and how we were all evil, unloving, mean people because we can't understand why someone would claim to be a video game character. Then she said, her soul bond is weakening from all the hate. Yes, you got that. Her soul bond is weakening from all the hate.
The last story of Tim recounts one of Catherine's local followers showing up to the house, again unannounced. She was a shy girl, and before being allowed to see Catherine, she had to pass a quiz Sasarai gave her. This made the girl uncomfortable, and she began to leave when Catherine fucking emerges from the pantry she was hiding in to invite her to the museum to discuss soul bonding. Tim urged her not to go, and between that and the craziness from Catherine and Sasarai, this results in her freaking out and running away. Next, Carrie comes back with more work stories. One day, Catherine brought Sasarai with her to work. He showed up in a cosplay and handed out pamphlets about their cult. You can actually see pictures of this pamphlet online, which further gives this story some fucking credit, being real and shit. Catherine actually wasn't too happy about this because her soul bonding life wasn't known around the office. The two loudly argued in the bathroom until security was called on them. Eventually, the sites Catherine uses for soul bonding blogs are blocked off at work, and this results in another conflict, this time between her and Becky. So of course she files a discrimination claim, and she gets her precious websites back. This also really fucked poor Becky up with stress from HR putting her under a microscope. Our final excerpt comes from Tim. One day he goes to the bathroom to take a piss when he catches Catherine in an Odessa cosplay having sex with her boyfriend in his bathtub. Yeah, a little strange. Other than that, he just addresses some questions from the readers, and that's the last we've heard from the original Housemate Horror posts. On the forums, there was heavy debate as to whether or not this was all just an elaborate troll or something. All this seems a little too detailed to be fake, but even if it is a very entertaining story. Now, Something Awful is fucking dumb, so I can't do my own research without forking over some dough. So I'm kind of repeating a lot of stuff from the Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm not trying to plagiarize, and I hate doing this, but big shout out to that dude and his great videos. Love your stuff, Frederick Knutson. So the story gains traction around the internet. People are arguing both on LiveJournal and Something Awful about the story's veracity. And some guy on Something Awful forums named Jaggerhunda claims that he once knew a girl that claimed to be soul bonded to Aerith from Final Fantasy VII. This is how we have photos of her now, and have come to know her as Catherine Rain. To further verify this, she had a Flickr account with pictures of someone cosplaying as Sasarai, possibly being Sasarai themselves. Also, there's pictures of Catherine in a white dress, like that described in the Sarah Saga, and legal paperwork showing her name change. Now I need to once again clarify, even though we have these people's faces and info, this series is not made with the intent of witch hunting or harassing. Just a laugh from afar. If you harass people on behalf of my videos, you are a fucking moron, and you should feel bad. Anyway, a few months later, Final Fantasy VII House site updated with a message from Zach stating that Catherine Rain is not Sarah in his opinion. 2 days later, he retracts that statement, agreeing that it's obviously her. The same day, Pete took down the whole blog, but fortunately it was backed up by its readers and was archived. So, this ends the chapter in the saga. Nothing has been heard about Catherine since 2008. And there's really no updates on any of the characters from the original story. Until Tattle Crime. Yes, I shit you not! This still isn't over! In the third and probably final of the series, we'll be talking about what Jen has been up to after she gained her infamy. See you then! I want to do a special shout out to my buds who helped me so much with my videos. My bud Xanax on Twitter helped with the narrations this time around, so go and give him a fucking follow. As always, my friend Eddie helps with the proofreading on my script. And another big shout out to my boy Metal Redux for redoing some art for me. Is a nice little Christmas gift. So like, here, yeah, you'll notice in a second here I got a new outro and also the banner on my channel. It looks super professional, and I would definitely give that guy a check out for doing that. He's a very, very, very nice fella. And I haven't updated in a while because I've had some problems with my hands, particularly tendonitis. But I do have a comic I haven't updated in a while that I'm doing alongside my bud Josh McHipster. So, check that description if you want to read the 4 chapters I've done. I'm sorry I've been on hiatus for so long, but it really fucking hurts my hands to draw a comic for a month straight. I really hope you understand. More is on the way eventually. It's just on hiatus. It's not canceled. Don't you worry. I got some other great videos. I can't believe how many fucking views the Ken Penders Internet Interest got. I'm thinking maybe I'll do a follow-up someday. Not quite soon yet, though. And as for my next video, I am doing another Mario Marathon. Another Mario Marathon. This time on Dr. Mario. And it's going to be a little bit of a short one. See you guys then. Thanks for watching my videos.